All right, and we're live, guys.
Hi, my name is
Hi.
Aloha, aka your favorite atheist, and I'm here with the two favorite people on this podcast. There's only two other ones, I guess that's not really saying much, but we've got the Godless and Queer.
Ha! Way to sneak that in there.
I get it.
I'm the godless
dick
ninja queer, the dick
It's because he's a
pioneer.
homosexual.
Well, that's because I love those deliciously thick cocks all the time. That's
Hey,
what I
they
like.
gotta be veiny too. You gotta have vascularity. Okay?
Yeah, thick
Thick,
and veiny as shit.
Eating
The
fucking
dick
cocks in
pioneer.
your fucking mouth. We've also got Dieter, the one with the voice who makes my panties moist.
I don't like the implications of this.
It doesn't matter whether you like them or
Hello,
not.
everyone.
It's happening. Alright, so welcome back to Reason Religiously Educated Atheists, Secularists, and Other Non-Theists. Without further ado, we've got some new science for you this week. Dieter, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Do we want to actually just show the video? Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, while you're setting that up, I'll just go do the back stuff. Researchers at HLR Laboratories have developed a 3D printing technology designed to overcome the limitations of working with traditional ceramic processing. The process includes a resin formulation that once printed can be fired and converted into a ceramic that is harder, stronger, and more compatible with ultra-high temperatures. So this is, like, everyone at this point probably knows a little bit about 3D printing. But this is like an ungodly resilient ceramic. It can withstand temperatures in excess of 1700 degrees Celsius. And I think, I tried looking up how hot things get at re-entry into the atmosphere, and it's like under that temperature. So like this stuff might be able to like replace re-entry heat shields, possibly, and that's amazing. There's also a whole bunch of images of it and a lot of tests of it, so play the video. It's just awesome looking.
Yeah. If you can check this out. This is actually a 3D printed phone stand that a friend made for me. And it's not as durable as this. This thing will melt. Yeah, and
My
Dieter
glasses broke, so I fixed them.
Yeah. 3D printing is great. Alright, hold on.
I have one, like, right there. I'm looking to replace it, actually, because I never use that one. Resolution's not very good.
See.
But anyway, this stuff is, like, semi-flexible, depending on how it's printed, because as we all know, 3D printed things have a much easier ability to make dramatic and dynamic structures, as opposed to the, like, more standard ways of making, I guess, resin-based ceramics, where you kind of just have to put it in a mold. You couldn't make most of these structures in a mold. You just couldn't. So this opens up incredibly new and fantastic possibilities.
Okay, let's see.
Play the video, G!
I'm trying.
Current methods generally
G, you're having way too much fun. Okay, so it's looking like it's a photoreactive resin that they're able to rise up in that kind of 3D printing process. And once it's cured, it becomes, like, magic and incredible. Fantastic. I picked this particular piece of information because I'm just, like, nonsense obsessed with 3D printing. So having anything, 3D printing metals, 3D printing biological material, and now 3D printing high resilience, strength, heat, God, ceramics just makes me so happy.
Yeah, well, guys, don't worry about the sound. It was just a whole bunch of copyrighted music, so we couldn't play that. But basically, that's all it was. It was just words on the screen. There was a guy explaining explaining it a little bit, but I mean that's pretty much just what Dieter did. So
Wait, you didn't prepare me because I was getting down that whole entire time to the music. And
We
you're
all
telling
know,
me
Alice. We
that,
all know.
that no one could hear the music.
Well, now you're just gonna be dancing to science. I mean, what's better than that?
I
Okay, but I got a question for Dieter. He mentioned that you can do re-entry heat shields. Is that legit? Like we can do that?
Well, we could always do that, but it's always they would degrade completely on reentry. They were designed to do that, and it's like I looked up plates that people are using now. Normally, you make the heat shield out of a whole lot of like hex plates or something like that, and it said those can survive temperatures of 1630 degrees Celsius. This says in excess of 1700. So to me, that's saying that these might actually be able to replace heat shields. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's fine. But it has possibilities of creating like entire shells of like aircrafts or like they said microchips or just parts used in industry that need to get ridiculously hot. Like this could be fantastic. And it shows a bunch of image, like you saw that little mesh kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about, is you couldn't really make that in a conventional way of making ceramics. Doing it with 3D printing means you can make structures that actually dissipate heat better than conventional ones. So you actually can do it physically as well as chemically, which just makes me so happy.
I mean, me personally, I love 3D printed stuff. I like the idea of it being able to manufacture your own materials and whatnot. I'm very big on being able to do everything yourself, kind of thing. And so that's I got some kind of stray thing here, but I know when my friend he made this particular phone stand. It was like 3D printing was like in its infancy, basically. Like his kit was just like a wood thing that he had to put together all on his own, and he had his computer stuff loaded in and everything. And I mean, it was just very kind of backwoodsy, I guess, for my area. I mean, it really did seem
Backwoods
like
3D printing. That's
backwoods 3D printing.
I forgot to mention this thing. I made a little model of a chair.
Hold on just a second. Now I need to know if you can use these fancy 3D printers to print off a couple extra Bibles.
That would be very ineffective.
Yeah, I guess maybe shells of Bibles.
We could print like models of the 10 Commandments.
Oh, hey, can we print like? I bet what we could do is we could print up some like crucifix dildos and shove it up other people's asses.
You only should do that if they consent to it. Otherwise, it's very inappropriate.
Well,
And
of course they would
actually.
consent to it. Who wouldn't want Jesus Christ up their ass?
A lot of
that
people.
does kind of sound like an interesting time as long as you have plenty of lube.
I wouldn't recommend 3D printing for that unless you cure it afterwards to smooth out all the edges.
Well, okay. Steven in the comments says, Dieter, that was the worst 3D printed vagina I've ever seen.
I agree with you.
I mean, I guess you can make it work. You can make anything work.
Well, there was actually there was a dog. I wish I had saved this video now, but this dog was born with fucked up legs, like really bad fucked up, like he couldn't use them. And so what they did was they 3D printed some prosthetics for him. And
I saw that. He had like malformed front legs.
Yeah. And so, I mean, stuff's being used like that. I think that a lot of people are using this 3D printing stuff for good stuff. But, of course, you got the assholes out there that are trying to 3D print their own machine guns and or parts to make a machine gun. And so I know a while back there was some discussion being thrown around about limiting like 3D printing and whatnot. At least I thought.
Can't. Like,
No, you
anyone
just-
can make one. It's not hard anymore.
This is all I need to know. How long before we can 3D print a woman?
We can't.
That's all I need to know.
Why would you-
A-list will disappear. A-list will disappear.
Why do you need to 3D print a woman exactly? I mean, this is like hard plastic, right? I mean, it's not like
The
it's
power
not
of Christ
latex.
impels you.
This is not latex. You can't fuck this, okay, Alice?
You can fuck anything if you try hard enough.
God.
I worry about
If you're
you
brave
sometimes.
enough, anything's a vagina.
It's damn right.
Y'all just go ahead and Google that right now. I'm telling you, you won't regret it, or maybe you will. I don't know.
Hey, Steven, this fucking chair took me forever to make. This was difficult.
Going by Dieter's printing skills, maybe 2150.
What's funny is that the research I basically can't talk about at all. I do a hell of a lot of 3D printing in that, and I made some really impressive bullshit.
Well,
But like I said, I can basically say nothing about it.
Well, hey, you know what? I mean, we know that you make cool shit all the time there, Dieter. And we wouldn't give you a hard time if we didn't love you. But tonight we're talking about the yeehawd going on in Oregon by these yeehawdists, the Bundy boys. And, just to preface
Why is it
this... Why? Because look at him. Just look at Bundy there.
Yeehaw!
There you
Now,
go.
now, you look here. Now, Muslims, when they come to Texas, and they come to other southern areas, and that includes any place that thinks they're a part of the South, and they had their own militias and whatnot. Now, you need to know that they become converted to our southern ways. That's why we're calling them Al-Qaeda.
And that's why
I worry
that's why
about you,
their that's why their motto is Aloha Snackbar, because they need snacks. And actually, you know what?
He obviously had plenty of snacks before that photo was taken.
We
Wait,
actually have.
what was that? Wait, there was that article going around for a while that that someone drank away all of their donations or something. I didn't even read that. What was that about?
I didn't read it either, but I wouldn't surprise me if they did. I mean,
People are like leaving the protest or the sit-in or whatever the hell it is they're doing there. People are leaving randomly. It's like, This is the most disorganized bullshit I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of people that are really hesitant on calling them terrorists, and I have to say some people have some more convincing arguments to me than others, and I was going to kind of discuss them here in a second. But I just want to give you guys kind of the what does a general jihadist look like? And luckily enough, we had one in our group today, and he posted a selfie before going out to join the militia. And hold on, there he is. His name's Bob. He's going out there to join up with the militia, and he's making sure he brings some snacks and stuff. He knows how important those Ritz crackers are to jihadists out there. But yeah, Bob went out there today, and we wish him luck with everything.
What the hell is that thing?
That's Billy Ray Aeolus or Areolus.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell y'all, I got a new name last night. They're calling me Areolus now because I have a fascination with them dar titty bitties.
Oh really? I figured just because you kind of look like a big nipple.
Well, I mean, people like to rub me. My body is pretty nice and whatnot. But my name is Billy Bob, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about the Aloha Snackbar.
Oh, okay. So you're here to answer us questions. Well, okay, Billy Bob. What do you got to drink tonight? I mean, is it just ground up snacks? Like, did you liquefy some snacks there? It kind of looks like Tinky Winky or Twinkies.
Listen. You can't let the snacks get out of the body. So what you have to do is when you go and you urinate, You want to make sure you get the proper recyclability of them there snacks. And then if you mix it with just a little bit of this right here, you will be fortified and calcified for militia interactions.
Dieter, I'm fairly certain they did drink away all of their stuff, because I mean, right there, I mean that they couldn't have gotten more than about $50 worth of donations.
I was just waiting for this
$50 only buy you one bottle of Patron, so you know. But that right there, that guy. Do you see the way he has strategically placed those Ritz crackers in his vest? This man is prepared for battle.
I can see how that would be prepared for battle. ALS Ray Cyrus knows his drinks. That's what BTI says. Stephen Corey says, didn't one guy drink most of their donation money away? Yep, that was Billy Ray here. I'm sure.
So before we get too into this, does anyone want to give just a basic rundown of what's happening in Oregon?
No, yes, of course. Okay, so basically what happened in Oregon, and correct me in the chat if I get it wrong, just in this simple, really quick rundown of it. Basically, was it the Hammond? I think it was. The Hammond brothers were illegally hunting on some land. And,
whoa! Not illegally. It was perfectly legal in the state.
Okay. Well, it was federal. Okay. It was federal land, right? And so I mean they couldn't hunt on federal wild. There was some reason why they couldn't hunt on the land, and so to cover it up, I think that they tried to burn the wooded area or something, from what I heard. I could be wrong, but anyways, these Hammond guys are in trouble for that bullshit, and they were going to be going to jail for it. And then Ammon Bundy was like, hell no, we are sovereign citizens, and we're going to go and take over this abandoned federal building.
Right.
And,
was it even abandoned? I just thought everyone went home for the weekend, basically.
Well, I've heard that it was abandoned, but I mean, it's either way. I mean, it's a federal building, and you know, they had to either they had to either have a backup plan for if somebody was there, like whether or not it was just like, oh guys, Jihad is over, I guess we're going home, or they were just gonna take hostages or kick them out or something. I don't know what they had planned on doing, but. Anyways, let's see. Somebody commented the Hammonds, father and son, were luring animals to their land from the federal land and was poaching them. They followed that by setting fires due to a no-burn edict in the county. Okay, fire spread and burned over 130 acres of federal land. Michelle's putting that in the chat right now.
Now, hold on. Now, when you set a fire, you don't plan for that fire to take over different areas. Now, that was an act of nature. Now, when they say that they lured these animals from federal land, well, the animal has a choice in the matter. The animal can stay on the protected federal land, or he can decide to come over into the unprotected federal land. And if he does as such, then we have the right to hunt that there animal.
Right. I think you answered your own thing there, Billy Bob Ray. But anyways, Ammon Bundy was like, nope, we're going to go and stage this little protest, and we're going to take over this federal building, and we're prepared to stay here for years, is basically what he said. But more importantly, he said that the Lord told him to do it. He said that God told him to come and do this for the Hammonds, which I did have a story up. What?
Yes, it all was an act of God, because God could look down from his heavenly throne and see that something just ain't right here in this situation.
The situation. Dieter, what do you got to say so far about it?
I don't even know, because presumably they're very armed, and according to some reports, there really isn't that many of them. Like, they say that there's like over 100, but some reports say there's like a dozen, maybe.
Well,
And
I'll have you know, at the
like,
last staged militia uprising, there was approximately 80 of my fellow comrades killed by the FBI, and a lot of those were children.
Duly noted. But anyway, so as far as the situation is now, all I could really say about it is these people are breaking the law. They should be arrested, but they're not really doing anything. So I'm not terribly surprised that the local and federal governments and the army or whoever, the National Guard, I guess. I'm not really sure who would be called in for this. I'm not terribly surprised they haven't taken immediate action. Because it's like, why does anyone really care?
Well,
because they're armed and they're fucking insane. That's why.
well, that's actually
like,
this is putting people in danger, Dieter. Do you not know that? Like,
is it though?
well, I mean, think of
kind of
Waco.
is. Yeah, Waco.
Like, they seem more annoying than actually dangerous.
Well, I know,
They
but
are,
they
but they have potential. They're fucking toting weapons and grenades and shit.
No, I agree, and I think they should be taken down as...
I mean, they burned, like, was it 130 or 300? I thought it was 300 acres.
however number of acres, but, like, that's just because they're incompetent and doing illegal activities, so they should go to jail. I'm not saying they shouldn't. And I wouldn't even be, like, I wouldn't be that surprised if they took them to jail with a lot of force.
well,
But
yeah.
it's like, they seem like I don't feel threatened by these people. Like, it doesn't seem like an actual uprising.
Well, okay, but look, true, they need to go to jail, but look what's happening in this picture. What is
I don't know who those people
wrong? Okay, the one on the right here is Ammon Bundy. He's the guy leading the charge. The guy on the left is the sheriff that is over the area where the building is at.
Why? Why is he not immediately grabbing his arm, twisting it behind his back, and kicking out his legs in a dramatic fashion?
Because he's white.
Alice is just going to come right out and say it. I was just going to kind of stick the tip in a little bit, and then I was going to go kind of full thrust. But, you know.
No,
it's like, a lot of people are saying that, and I'm not at all surprised why they are. But that's why I just have to reiterate the situation, is they haven't done anything other than become an incredible nuisance.
Well,
they are breaking the law, though. That's the thing.
Well, not only that, but
I completely disagree with what they're doing right now. He should twist that guy's arm and trip his legs out in a dramatic fashion. That should have been the end result of this exchange. And I have absolutely, if it's racism, fair enough. But I have no idea why they're not arresting him right now.
Well, here's one thing is that what I want to know from you guys. Considering that, they say that that the Lord, or at least Ammon Bundy says that the Lord has told him to go and do these things, and has guided him to do all of this. And the fact that they have a political agenda that they're pushing using using whatever kind of tactic, whether or not it actually does cause fear, that's not the point of whether or not it actually does cause fear. It's their intent. Like, they intent maybe not to cause fear, but they're using intimidation in order to have a political, or to advance their political agenda, right? That's what they want. So, would you consider these guys to be terrorists? Like domestic terrorists? Granted,
I think by classical definition, yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to go with yes. I'm going to go with yes.
Because now a lot of people want to say they're not terrorists. They're not like ISIS. They're not over there cutting heads off of people and killing stuff.
Like terrorism is an umbrella term.
Right, but regardless, they are on the softer vanilla ISIS is what they're calling it side of things.
They're white.
They're white. This is white boy terrorism right here. Now, back in the day, hold on, I gotta get my glasses on.
It doesn't make any sense because vanilla is like brown.
Now, listen, okay, back in the day, we had some hardcore, like vanilla ISIS people, okay? All right? We had that one guy who blew up that Oklahoma building, was that Timothy McVeigh. He was a badass. What did he do? He got fertilizer in a truck, and he blew the fuck out of a federal building in order to advance his own political agenda. Now, that is what you do in order to advance your political... You don't go into an abandoned building with your guns and your broceps and forget the Twinkies. God damn it, not the Twinkies. No, but seriously. But yeah, I mean, back, like I say, back in the day, but I mean, back in the day now is about 30 years ago. You know, the domestic terrorists now have gone down so far on the softer end of terrorism that people are confused as to whether or not to call them terrorists because we're not scared of them because they don't cause terror.
Yeah, that's basically my issue.
Well, I mean, at the very least, you'd have to consider them environmental terrorists.
Because I mean, they're terrorists by basically any measure, but it's like,
yeah,
it's like I don't feel threatened. This community around them doesn't seem to feel threatened. They're just like, I'm half expecting them to like wake up tomorrow and they just left because they got bored.
Now hold on, okay. If we wanted to really end this amicably, you know what I think the U.S. government needs to do? If they want to hold up into this place for years, right? I think that they should give over the land and the building and all the bills and everything and all the taxes and just give it to them and let them pay the taxes.
They're going the whole sovereign citizen bullshit. They would just like, yep, it's ours now. We took it by force. By walking in with no resistance whatsoever.
Well, yeah, but you see, then there's going to be people that are saying that they haven't used force. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that they've used force, or have they not?
Oh, no, they're using force by intimidation.
Well, it doesn't matter if you actually use force. If you're toting them around weapons and grenades and setting fire to shit, I mean, you're kind of implying the use of force, which is just as bad as the use of force.
Duo might also actually be a part of this. Very rarely do we get a situation where we have, like, some self-professed terrorists. Well, I guess not self-professed terrorists, but that's what I'm calling them. We have this group of people that are committing very bad crimes. We know where they are. They have a ton of weapons. And it's almost like, do we want to exact the effort and risk the lives of people to stop them when they're not, like, doing anything? Like, I won't be surprised if, like, there is an element of, is the risk worth the reward for this particular situation? Because for all we know, police, like, they'd have to, like, drive tanks, like, through the building? Like, how do they handle a situation like this with nobody dying?
I don't know.
People are going to die, and it's mostly going to be these so-called Al-Qaeda here. But Stephen Corey says you know how to end it.
True.
You know how to end it. Everybody just walks away. The media just walk the fuck away.
No. This is how you end it, okay? Now, listen, you got to understand, okay?
Drone strikes, and it's over.
Okay, now, look, okay. This is how you end it with jihadists, okay? And now, I had to put my sunglasses back on because, I mean, I'm Southern. I know how these boys work. I know how the jihadists work. I know how Al-Qaeda works, all right? Aloha Snackbar. Listen.
Jesus, militant anti-theist.
I know. What?
The militant anti-theist. Jesus.
Hey, he's militant.
Or
He's
kill their
militant.
families like Donald Trump once.
Yeah. Well,
We gotta settle down.
what I think they really need to do is they just need to go to Tennessee, get some of that there moonshine, and just drop off about 20 cases of it, and just let them have a party. And then about 4 a.m. you come in, and it's just the stragglers that are still awake and sound, right? You go in, and then all you got to do is just flip them over, make sure they don't choke on their own vomit, handcuff them, and then boom, issue resolved. All you got to do is get them drunk. That's really all you got to do. Just throw some alcohol at them.
Like, Michael or Michelle, or however the hell I pronounce her name, once the power is cut, they will end up leaving and they will be arrested as they do. Like, I wouldn't be that surprised if that's what happens. Because, like, a couple people were saying
are they going to give up that easily?
I think they will. Because, honestly, like, some people in the chat were saying before, these are just attention whores. I kind of think they are.
Well, yeah.
But if they actually start getting violent in any way, then force. Like, you have to stop people from being violent. If talking won't work, then you have to do more. I hate it, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Well,
is there such a thing as, like, long range? Can you, like, carpet bomb with tear gas?
Carpet bomb with
Yes,
tear
you can.
gas.
You can.
Why don't we just do that?
Okay.
Like, have like a $100 drone and just have it drop tear gas.
Well, there are a few images going around that I do want to address, like this one right here. Amon Bundy saying that God told us to take up arms against the U.S. government as well as ISIS. And while the image does compare the two groups, I think that a lot of people get caught up in a lot of the background stuff behind the two. Like with Amon Bundy here, I mean, of course, he's nothing like ISIS. These are two very different ends of the scale, but what this is showing are both ends of the religious extremist kind of scale. Like this is the effect that religion has on these types of people. Like they think that God is telling them to go and do these kind of things. Like, the ISIS member thinks that God is telling him to take up arms against who the fuck ever. And then Amon Bundy had some kind of religious experience and thinks that he needs to take up arms against the U.S. government. I mean, they're not exactly the same, but I do think in the religious aspect, they are comparable. Well, I mean, what do you guys think?
I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if these people were inspired by their religion to do something like this. Or at the very least, they're post-justifying it with this. Because, like every religion, there's going to be aspects of it that you can use to do abominable actions. And then there's also going to be things that directly oppose what they say that they're doing. Like, what's the whole thing, Aeolus, about the obey what is Caesar or something?
Yeah, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, by the at least Christianity, they should be obeying what the government says, and then also obeying their religion. So,
well,
but
actually,
at the same time,
Romans 13:1 would be better to quote there. Romans 13:1, which basically says that all authorities that have been established by God, and therefore you must obey them pretty much.
It's like, so like, you can do anything. Like, it's just kind of, like, whatever you want, you can justify with your religion. And you can be inspired to do just about anything out of a religion. So that's kind of why I don't care. I really want to see what else about their lives are motivating them to do something like this. And there seems to be plenty in both directions. Like the ISIS versus domestic terrorists. There's a lot more than just the religion. Well, so no. That's why I like extending my effort to remove religion as part of the conversation.
Right.
Just to be like, we know it's bullshit. I don't care that you say you're inspired by it. I want to know what else you are inspired by.
Right, I don't think that the religion is a major part of this. I think he just kind of threw that in there to like try to garner support from, the rest of the people that happen to be watching this. Like, God
Well-
told me to do it. And they're like, but now we got to side with him because God said.
Well, now I will say
God said it, so out of my hands.
Well, I will say this, that both of these sides do use religion as a cornerstone of their socio-economic kind of structure. I mean, because religion originally was used in order to tie groups together. It was supposed to make you want to die for your fellow man because you felt connected to him or whatnot. So I think that both groups use religion in order to create this sense of bonding, and that's what he was trying to do there. Amon Bundy is he was trying to draw support using that already existing support structure of religion, which I think is kind of pretty much what you guys said. I mean, I don't think that it's a major component, but I'm saying that I think that the religious aspect is a major component of them building support and retaining that support, if you get what I mean.
I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that's why I try to remove it as part of the... I'm not saying this correctly. I'm trying to remove it as part of the conversation.
In general.
Yeah, just because we know people can be motivated by anything. We know they can be motivated by religion. We know they can justify anything with any religion. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, okay, that's nice, but what else is causing you to do this?
Right.
I think, for example, like here with this specific meme, you've got Bundy, who obviously he's motivated by a political ideology, not so much a religious one, but he's tossing the religion in there to kind of get that support. Whereas you've got ISIS, who is a religious ideology with political goals. And I think that's the difference here. And I think that as far as Bundy goes, we can remove that religious view to figure out what his political purpose is in this whole thing. But when it comes to ISIS, we know that their primary political goal is the religious goal.
It's kind of trying to break through the bullshit. It's like, Jesus told me to do it. I don't think you understand. I don't care. So now let's talk about
I think
everything
you're
else.
Dismissing the possibility that someone may do something just because Jesus told him to do it. I think you might be missing that. Like, yes, there are people out there who have other motives, but some people really are just like, hey, Allah said to take up arms. Let's take up arms. Allah said it. Yeah!
Man.
There are people out there that are
let
that
me hold
Sorry
just a
to burst your
smidgen
bubble.
of faith for humanity.
Let's see, there's one other point of view that I was wanting to discuss, and that was this one. And that's, how in the past few years, protests have been increasing. It's been a good way to draw attention to problems and whatnot. And so you see, like with Occupy Wall Street and apparently a campus Occupy thing. And then, of course, there's Ferguson and whatnot. And it just seems like there's a little bit of a weird... I don't know. It seems like the Oregon guys are being treated in a special way. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's yes and no. Yes, they're definitely being treated different. The fact the sheriff is shaking his hand at all without arresting him, I find appalling. But at the same time, like I was saying previously, they're like off in a corner way away from everybody else. And they're not doing anything with the position they're in. They haven't attacked anybody. They haven't, done anything. So I would definitely say a weird yes and no.
Well, no, true.
It's a different situation, but they still should be arrested. So they are getting special treatment.
Well, true, but I mean, these other protests here are legal. This one's not. But yet it seems
I
like...
agree.
I'm not saying that you don't.
It's... Every one of them were in city centers, and more often than not, before... It very rarely started with the police showing up and just tasing and spraying stuff at people. like in Ferguson, there was an enormous amount of looting, and there was an enormous amount of everything else. Obviously, it does not justify violence against any of them. Obviously. But it is a different situation. So that's like, there's no way of me saying like I can't say it any other way. Yes, it is definitely a different situation, but that doesn't really matter. They still should be arrested.
Yeah, they definitely should be arrested. But and the thing is, even though they are, I'll just say this: they are terrorists. They are brandishing weapons and basically implying a threat, even if they haven't explicitly stated a plan of attack. They are doing less harm than these other movements, as Dieter mentioned there, and that's probably why we don't see such severe action taken against them. Now, is that justified? I don't think so. I think,
Of course.
they should have just taken this fucking guy to the ground and arrested him on the spot, and then go in there. Who gives a fuck what the townspeople think? Go in there and fucking nuke that place with some tear gas, and when they all come out, you arrest them and send them to jail.
I agree. I agree that should have already happened.
Or here's an even better scenario. If that building is not an abandoned building, that's like a place of someone's work or whatever, you go in and you take the thing by force. Okay? And if people die, then people fucking die. The last time they had an incident like this, I think only 4 FBI agents died and almost 100 of these terrorists died.
It rolls back into my other semi-explanation, was if these people have as many weapons as they claim that they do, I'm not terribly surprised that the FBI or whoever the hell handles this kind of situation, I'm not terribly surprised that they're lagging behind like crazy. Because what do you do? This is a group of people
nobody wants to die.
Yeah, no one wants to risk anybody, but at the same time, it's I'm stuck between the two sensations of not wanting to risk police lives, but at the same time, I'm not threatened by these people at all.
No, listen. If Occupy Ferguson were brandishing AK-47s, grenades, and snacks to last them a few days, I'm pretty sure that picture that we're looking at here would be a lot different.
I kind of agree.
Well,
it's really difficult to be these are different situations, but we don't condone anything that's happening.
Well, right.
Being objective is hard.
Yeah. Well, I'm usually very timid to throw support behind comparisons like this, but if you take the Oregon incident here as a protest, I mean, just with the kind of treatment you see other protests being given, I mean, it really is situational, I would say, because there are times when the police, in Ferguson, when the police are just, I guess, being assholes, kind of, which not to say that maybe they weren't prompted or provoked to being assholes, but nonetheless, it was pretty damning in Ferguson. But then there are other protests that don't end up like this. But at the same time, I think that, with the fact that they're illegally protesting, because it's not like they sent in a request hey, can we protest for a few years on this federal government building in this property? We're just going to walk in there and sit down and we're just going to kick off our shoes and stuff and we're going to live here for a while. I don't think that they exactly asked permission to do that, and they were granted it. So I don't know. I think it's hasty to kind of make these kind of comparisons personally, but at the same time, it's hard to be they are, because they are being treated different, like we've all been saying here. They are being treated different, but I think that the feds are trying to. Not have another just mass shooting situation in Oregon. I mean, I think that's probably about the last thing that we need.
The other side of this is just okay, so Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Campus, Occupy Ferguson, lots of people got assaulted, there was lots of crimes against people peacefully doing things. Do we want that to happen again? Is that what people are saying?
Yeah, immaculate.
Like,
Sorry, immaculate. Sorry to interrupt, but immaculate knowledge in the comment section made a good point. They could accomplish the same thing Gandhi style without guns and had a lot more credibility. I think so
completely agree.
too. Yeah. But what was your question, Dieter?
It's kind of like, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like, these are horrible crime. Like, the other three are very, very bad crimes inflicted on people that were just peacefully doing something. Regardless of the crime going on around them, the majority of people weren't violent. And people see that and are like, but in this situation, the police are not being violent, therefore they should be violent? Like, let's remove Occupy Oregon and replace it with some peaceful protests that happen all the time all over the country. If we put that in that space, would people feel the same way? Would they be like, oh, these people are being treated differently?
Well,
It's like, okay.
Well, no, I don't think that it's saying that Occupy Oregon or the Occupy Oregon spot should be, more violent, or that they should be
I don't know.
treated
That's
more
what
violently.
That's the feel I get from a lot of people.
No,
It's
I
like,
get it.
oh, they're getting special treatment because they're white and in I was about to say in the South, but the Oregon's not in the South.
No.
I think it's
But it's-
because they are not, like you said, we don't feel terrorized by these people, but because they have the capacity to terrorize. They've got these weapons, they've got a potential. We've got to kind of like take them seriously, but not as seriously as other groups that are actually doing things, like in Ferguson where they burned down like half of the city.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't understand people's mentality when they're like, these people are not being treated as bad as these other people, therefore we want those other people to be treated just as badly.
Well, no, I think, to me, what it does is it just highlights the change in mood. And, I think that it is kind of selective because, there are other protests that go on where they don't turn violent. But I think just what it's trying to point out is how differently they treat certain groups of people. But, and it's not to say that, hey, you should be treating these people, you should be more violent with the Bundys. It's, hey, there's this problem, and we need to work on stabilizing the problem and removing it by treating all protesters the same, or whatnot, or something to that effect.
So,
just, you get what I'm saying?
No, I know, and that's what I was trying to say originally and gargled it into a mess, that this is a different situation with different factors, blah, 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 blah. I'm also kind of seeing, like, maybe with the exception of Ferguson, I'm not really sure, like, what groups are we actually comparing in the four of these? Like, there were white people at all of these.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to just be, like, Christian white people from Oregon?
Well, no. I think it's just, in my view, it's just protests in general, and it's like the subject of the protest. So, like, Occupy Wall Street, kind of thing.
Oh,
Occupy
I see.
Campus.
I see.
Well, let's be honest here. Like, what do we expect when we hear a protest? We're almost expecting, like, something to happen at this point when you hear a protest. And, like, that's not what we're getting out of this Occupy Oregon. So that's kind of like what people are waiting for. They're like, come on, like, is it going to happen? Like, what's going to happen here? Like, it's almost as if the media is, like, drumming this thing up, to, like...
Of course they are. I think if we ignored it completely and it was handled by the local government, it would have already been over.
Well, to kind of wrap up this section before we get into Hypocrite of the Week, how do you guys think that this is going to end? They're obviously still up there. They're still up there. They're occupying it. They've stated that they will either kill or be killed, if they don't get what they want. But apparently, there are some law enforcement agencies that are going to be trying to end this civilly and whatnot through their various resources. And so, how do you guys think that this is going to end? Do you think that they're just going to call the jihad off, or do you think that they're going to go full jihadist?
I'm assuming and hoping that once power is cut, then they'll just either meander away, or when the media hype goes down, they'll meander away, or the local police department, or possibly help from the government, will just kind of go in and no lives will be lost. They'll just kind of shuffle them away. I'm thinking it's going to end fairly soon, honestly.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say with movements like this, but these people don't seem to be like a real threat, as Dieter has mentioned previously, so I don't foresee it getting like really nasty, but it has in the past. We've had incidents like this where it got nasty in the past, and these militias always end up losing, so if that's what occurs, you can expect that they'll take heavy casualties in any event, and they'll be forgotten in a few months. And so the attention that they're seeking so hard to get this attention, it'll be gone. And I think people will forget about this just like they forgot about that other clown head, Cliven. Was that his name, Cliven Bundy?
Well, yeah, that's their dad.
Yeah, I mean, well, if it wasn't for that, we would have already forgotten about him. But these people definitely need to. I mean, you don't get to terrorize like this, okay? It's still terrorism, so these people need to go to jail. Because if it were you or I doing this bullshit, we would have already been in jail.
Yeah.
And I'm a little more brown than you, GE, so they probably would have shot me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only got a quarter Puerto Rican in me, so.
God, I'm like European for many generations.
But let's go ahead. Let's get off of this, and then we're gonna go into the hypocrite of the week. You want to lead us in there?
Moving on to my favorite segment of Reason, hypocrite of the week. Woo!
Thank you.
This week's hypocrite of the week. Pulling them up. Oh, we doing this one? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were doing the Duggars or not. So we've got another church elder / pastor who is setting up hidden cameras at his churches. And I read this article, not sure exactly based on this article what he's watching, but I'm guessing he put them in women's locker rooms and women's restrooms, or men's locker rooms and men's restrooms.
Let's see. Let me read it in my special.
Oh, Lord.
A church elder and pastor have been charged in a case involving hidden cameras discovered at Southwestern Illinois Church on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve? The night before Jesus' birthday? What a fucking piece of shit. David L. Von Bergen faces felony unauthorized recording among other charges. He's an elder at Bethala Altos Zion Lutheran Church, where cameras were found. And he should be arrested for making such a hard fucking word to pronounce. Where cameras were found in several locations, including a changing area. The Reverend Cale Hansen is accused of helping hide evidence. Police allege once the cameras were discovered, Von Bergen tried to remove them. Authorities allege Hansen agreed to destroy camera memory cards, allowing Von Bergen to leave the camera. Doesn't Von Bergen sound like a Bond villain? I mean, it just sounds like maybe he's got like a white suit on. He's like, remove all the cameras.
His name is David L. Van Bergen.
Yeah. The
That's
Madison,
a wicked name.
the Madison County State's Attorney's Office charged both Thursday. A judge set Von Bergen's bail at $250,000 and Hanson's at $50,000. Listed home numbers for the men couldn't be located Friday. It's unclear if they have attorneys. So yeah, it doesn't seem like we know if they were peeping at little boy peepees, or if they were, or if they were looking at little girls, or if they were looking at little anythings. But you know, it's still on the night before Jesus' birthday. We all know that Jesus was born at midnight, the stroke of midnight.
I mean, it's been a while since we covered a pastor who was doing this. I mean, I think it goes all the way back to like single-digit hypocrite of the week. But just as the last time we had this, it's just as despicable this time, because you've got a pastor who is supposed to be the moral representative of his community spying on the members of his congregation. And not just spying, but it says here, including a changing area. So watching people get dressed and change, and then once these cameras have been discovered, they try to remove them and destroy the memory cards, leaving with the cameras.
You see, like, if they just had cameras throughout the church, they probably could have made some bullshit excuse and been like, oh, we would just put them up for security, blah, blah, blah. But then they're just like, no, we're going to destroy them because we know we did something wrong. So it's like, when you do something like that, you're no longer just a, like, I don't know, an idiot. You're no longer just dumb. Now you're a criminal. Because now we have an established intention. God, these people are so stupid. And just so misguided isn't even the right word.
The problem is they probably didn't have them all around the church. It says several locations, including a changing area. I'm pretty sure it was like a bathroom, a shower, and a changing area. They had no choice, neither. They didn't have a choice in the matter here. And
no,
they
had a lot of choices. They had a lot of choices. They had a lot of choices in all of this.
The last guy had 5 terabytes of hard drive data of videos of women changing in the changing room.
5 terabytes.
No, not this guy. The last one we covered. So I'm saying this guy probably had just as much. And if they were to look at those memory cards, it would probably be terrible.
I can't say anything anymore. This is my least favorite part of the show.
It really has become the worst part of the show.
Are you kidding? Dieter's over there like, when can we play some Joshua Feuerstein?
I would rather do that right now. What is that?
This is depressing. This is pretty depressing, but the good thing is now we're doing the show bi-weekly instead of weekly, so we don't have to deal with as many of these idiots.
I get 1 week of reprieve from being disappointed in humanity.
We're just gonna, before the internet says just stamp him, let's just go ahead and stamp this guy with Hypocrite of the Week for spying on.
I don't even remember it is. I'm just gonna hit this book against this hole puncher.
For spying on his members of the congregation, including a changing area, most likely a restroom and a bathroom, a locker room. We're gonna stamp you with Hypocrite of the Week for trying to spy and obtain videos of your congregation when you're supposed to be the moral representative in your community. And Hypocrite of the Week.
And for demonstrating that you knew it was wrong. You assholes.
Awesome. Well, we would like to thank everybody for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to God Works Out as well as Dieter Lucum. Dieter Lucum has some stuff not Joshua Feuerstein related coming up. He's got some Dieter reads and stuff like that he's wanting to do. So definitely subscribe to him and God Works Out. God Works Out is who I've been doing the dumbass comments of the week with. So thank him for editing those up. And I guess we will see you guys in another 2 weeks.
Hey, and may reason forever outweigh religious stupidity. Peace.
Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.
We'll see you guys later.
Oh,